Yo, yo, ho, ho, Momo, Wednesday, marketvitals.io, the 28th of April. Same as it ever was, Matt, Groundhog Day, as we sit and wait today.
April has been one of the, we're after the actual Groundhog Day, but April has been by far one of the biggest Groundhog months I've ever been involved in.
Same as it ever was. Today, the reason why we don't trade du jour is waiting on the FOMC, the great overseers of all of our financial lives. And they're going to give guidance on rates going forward, whether or not they see inflation, even if it's slapping them right in the face. Anyway,
I'm gonna go with the obvious favored bet, which is nothing's gonna change, nothing's gonna happen. We may not, blah blah blah. There you go. There's the minutes for you. Don't even hang around. Go ski.
It's so ridiculous. They should just call them the seconds because you don't need to spend any time looking.
I don't need to spend them. Yeah. Where's Greenspan? Where's the 6'8" Fed chairman from the 70s? I can't think of his name. That guy.
Volcker.
Volcker was the last great Fed head. Since then.
Speaking of great, my friend Max Isley, son of a former hog trader in Chicago, he shared this today, and it was 24 years ago today. Michael Jordan walked into the Bullets locker room before a playoff game, smoking a cigar, and said, "Who's going to check me tonight?" And he went on to fucking lay up 55 points.
What year was that?
24 years ago from today, Matt. You do the math.
So 97. I wonder if Chris Webber was on that team then, because I think he got drafted by the Bullets, and he definitely couldn't shut down the GOAT. So,
anyway, Matt,
time out, Chris, time out.
It's the nuance, Matt. It's the nuance drink that is important here. Yeah. First of all, the guy this ballastlife.com. Get your fucking math straight, right? He can't be 22 for 35, 10 free throws of 10, and 1 of 2 from three-point line and score 55 points. That sounds like 57 points to me. I might be wrong.
I just did the math. 44, 47, and 57. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so he was 21 for 35. Yeah. Matt, the thing that just blows me away on this is he scored 55 and he shot 2 3-pointers.
Yep.
I mean, how much has the game changed? This guy, I wonder what the calories per shot, like when you watch him, crossover and juke, like the calories for that shot that he was putting out. I mean, he's the greatest of all time in basketball.
Well, and the thing, like we were talking about, nobody takes those shots like on the 10 to 15 foot range anymore. You're either dunking in the NBA after 7 steps and traveling, and then, or you're like everybody, you're a 45% free throw shooter from half court. It's one or the other. You're a dunker, or you're getting, which is 95% shooting percentage, or you're making 44% of your half court shots.
I got to tell you, they need to, and you mentioned this, why not make the mid-range jumper 2.5 points?
Yeah. I mean, with the gamification, it would be cool because, it would just be electronically set on the floor. And if you had all these like 2.4, 2.7 for just before the arc and all these different areas where nobody shoots from anymore, that would change the game because then, you'd have all then then Dave Portnoy's stock might go up because then people could bet on where are they going to shoot from today.
I don't know. I just blew me away when it's the first thing that I saw. He 55 and he shot 2 3-pointers. Unreal. So fun to watch. And how much more fun is it to watch when a guy needs to work either through screens, back picks to get open or get his own shot, create his own shot. That's gone.
Even back in, definitely in the 80s and late 90s, they weren't they weren't taking 7 steps like they are today. So it was more real basketball. I mean, to your point, not only I agree he is the GOAT because of the way his game was, and the way the game was at the time. Both those things together, I mean, just made him such a different player. I mean, Steph Curry never drives to the hoop. I mean, he rarely drives to the hoop, right? Flip those numbers. Steph Curry is 22 of 35 from the threes, and he's 1 of 3 when he tries to make a layup. Those are his numbers.
Well, exactly. For him to get 55, he's going to be, 10 of 20 from 3-point line.
Yeah.
Right. 10 free throws and
then 2 layups. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's 2 backdoor layups after he gets, swatted and crushed 6 times the other times because he's so small going in there.
All right, Matt. The other thing that happened yesterday is the Kentucky Derby, the most exciting 2 minutes in sports.
What about the Preakness or the Belmont?
Well, that's not nearly as exciting as the Kentucky Derby. Let's face it. The Run for the Roses.
The Kentucky Derby is the first race, though.
It's the most exciting.
But if you want to win the triple count, if you want to win the triple crown, you get the Preakness and Belmont, and you got to win them both.
But first thing that jumped out at me at this one was it's a stampede. I mean, a full 20 horses in the field.
Do they have a guy in the barrel too for this race because there's so many horses?
Listen, for me, it's all about names and colors because I know nothing about horse racing.
I'm going with I'm going to give you my box trifecta: Rock Your World, Super Stock, of course, and I'm going to go with Mandolin.
Rock Your World, Super Stock, and Mandolin.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The box. You heard it first on microvitals.io. Actionable information, guaranteed.
Box those up.
Midnight Bourbon and Bourbonic. I think you got to go with those two, right? On a whiskey play. And I did a little research, Matt. Research is what we do when we don't know what we're doing. And the most wins out of any pole position in the Kentucky Derby, 135 years, is the number 2. But since 1930, when they added a starting gate, it's number 5. The number 5 slot has produced 10 winners. So for me, I'm going 2-5, and then the favorites, which are 14 and 15. Quinella boxed that shit. 2-5, 14, 15. You know what?
Plus, the 5 horse is Sainthood. I mean, that's a pretty good name. 50-1
from the Sainthood from the number 1 winning slot.
That's what I'm saying.
Out of the gate, no pun intended.
And the number 2, like the King, is also a 50-1. So they got the pole positions, and these are the most against horses. So I kind of I'm gonna do another quintella with all the 50s, and I'm gonna throw in again Super Stock. So give me Helium, Hidden Stash, Keep 'em Coming, Sainthood, Brooklyn Strong, Like the King, box them all in. Those 7, and then add in Super Stock.
Oh,
can't lose.
There's an old Italian saying, may hear to somebody that you don't like, right? And it goes something like this: may his sons be horse players. Like the worst kind of degenerate gamblers,
right,
are horse players. Anyway, Matt, let me share, because onto a serious note, this out of the CDC. CDC now recommends wearing a seatbelt even when you're outside the car, because you can never be too careful. In fact, I always thought that it's so ridiculous on these masks outside that it's kind of like similar to saying your seatbelt is made out of fucking paper towel and it's going to save you in the head-on collision.
Well, and I think the Babylon Bee also said that you can only smoke your cool menthols inside your car going forward.
I gotta tell you, it gets crazier by the day, the shit that is going on.
The funny, first of all, why is it just menthols that we're stopping selling?
Right, exactly.
Because again, I wholeheartedly, if you want to attack what's going on in our country, fucking get rid of cigarettes, make them illegal, and get rid of McDonald's and Burger King. And
well, for sure, you need to get rid of the arches, the gold arches.
Diabetes is these two things are way bigger problems. And guess what? Smoking and eating shitty food is the cause. It's not
wearing
a mask inside your car or outside your car. Good
All right,
Lord.
Matt, I just noticed this below this tweet here. An electric car contains 80 kilograms of copper, 4 times that of a fossil fuel vehicle,
Yeah.
which is part of the big surge for demand for copper. So we're going to fuck the environment up by strip mining to get copper. Meanwhile, China's burning coal like it's going out of business. And fossil fuels look like they want to make a comeback. So the market will take care of this. And unfortunately for the environmentalists, crude oil is going to continue to be pumped, Matt, because let's talk price discovery and crude.
Yeah, let's talk. Well, let's lead in a little bit actually with Dr. Copper, which also, if you're a believer in the copper theory, as copper goes, so goes the market. Well, we hit another all-time high in copper today. And, we're trading up here above, or rather yesterday, we traded above 450. We're up today, but not as much as we were yesterday, but we were trading 452, Bob. That's a crazy chart when I think about it. I honestly, we may be at all-time highs. I don't recall ever seeing copper this high, but I don't trade it actively. So 2011, we were at the same, we were not quite, we broke out of the high of 2011. Wow. That's pretty crazy. That's a weekly chart. Here's a monthly for you. Again, pretty far out of value, super cycle in effect here, but believe it or not, this thing was trading in March at $1.90. So, wow. I mean, that's almost a tripling. It's almost a trip.
Crazy, Matt, is when you look at that and you think like 10Xs haven't been fucking out of the question.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, could anybody even utter the fucking words $10 copper?
Right. I mean, so, the people, there's a reason why people are probably ripping off, people's little yards and everything. Now, I keep hearing, problems with that up on the Deschutes River where they're stealing your fishing gear, but they definitely must be going after your wire, your copper wire now too. I mean, it's crazy. But anyways, it's interesting here that can you take care of that? Thank you. And so copper to me is boggling. And the other one on the precious, I'll call it a precious metal.
Copper is going to be precious here soon.
Yeah, but let's talk about palladium. There's some guys that have been trading it in our room, and it's not really something I've ever actively traded, but the momentum sure is in their favor, Bob. I'm curious what you think about it. But this is a monthly chart, by the way, that we're looking at of palladium. I mean, this stuff spiked in 2000. That was probably a Y2K thing. I'm sure it was. I don't recall it back when I was trading, but that, we're 3 times that spike that we saw in 2000 today. And that all has happened this year. I mean, we've gone from 1,000 to 3,000, all since, again, July of 18, and we dipped down to 1,300. So we've, more than doubled since the May low here, but this thing was on its way well before. And again, there's so much palladium in the batteries and in the new technology, phones, et cetera, I guess, that we're using, that this is just kind of on everybody's radar right now. So I don't know what to make of it, Bob.
Well, yeah, it's.
But I'd love to see I would love to see the momentum models and see what this, what the potentiality.
I'm trying to find it, but I'm not finding. I have the wrong one up. I have April and not the continuation. Hold on, man. Let me work on it. While I work on it, let's talk a little crude, and then we'll jump back to it.
Okay, no problem.
We're going to talk crude.
I also want to. Well, let me talk about natural gas, and then we'll lead into crude, because we talked about natural gas just a bit ago, and this month, and we said we like that 250 area, and in fact, since we said that. The natural gas has gone up to 3. It just stopped shy of 3 today, 298 or so. And again, take profits by all means. We were talking back in here when it was at
you got to show it. We're not looking at it.
Oh, you're not seeing it still? Sorry about that.
No worries.
So we were talking about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, that pullback here at about 250 or so was a good area. And let me just pull the month chart out here. And again, you can see that 250 got down to like 246, and that's when we suggested that it looked like a good buy on the chart, and now it's a good sell. Yeah, I mean, you've made 25% again in 3 weeks. These are astronomical moves. I mean, natural gas is not for the faint of heart. There's leverage upon leverage when it comes to natural gas. So every single tick, and you go out to 0.1% cost you, is a cost factor. So this is a huge win, and it's a runaway train right now. I'd be taking some off for sure if you bought it back in that 250 level. But it's somewhat gone parabolic as you look out. Let's just look at a 6-month chart. And again, you're coming into the summer season. So I tend to think that this is probably a good time to lighten up. I don't see us necessarily going out and taking out this 330 or the 350 that we had.
What times of years were those two highs?
Well, this was November, and this was the end of February, middle of February.
Right. Yeah.
So
generally not a summer high.
I mean, typically, seasonally here, this is kind of pretty extended. But again, I think a lot of it just has to do with policy and what's going on in the world, policy as it relates to, pipelines, et cetera, Keystone, all these things are coming into play here. But again, on the long-term chart, I'm bringing up a daily, you're back into value, probably a good time to lighten it up here. And I wouldn't be too greedy on the upside. When it comes to crude, it also has had a nice recovery from the 57s. And we are trading, I think, up to about, let's look at a 1 month. I think we traded 64.50 or so today. And this is, again, very nice cup and handle if you like that type of thing. It had a nice pullback, as we were talking about earlier in the week, at 60.50. And if you caught that wave, and just in the last 3 days, you're up another $4. I mean, these are huge moves. This is an 8% move. And again, I think a lot of this has to go with what's going on in the world, whether it's Afghan pullout, whether it's Ukraine, Russia, all the tensions in Middle East again. I think all this is affecting, drones are being shot down. Drones are attacking boats in Iran, Iraq, Saudi every day, right? It's very loud out there. And this should,
not to mention the fact that climate activists be damned, we're still producing and consuming 100 million barrels a day.
Yeah,
globally.
Yeah,
I mean, so yep. Yeah, as the lockdowns ease, as we get back to normal life and a Sunday drive, it doesn't matter. These energy products. Listen, we can have electric cars, that's fine, but you got to produce the electricity somewhere. I just saw a recent one in the charging station in Lansing, Michigan, and they were asking the politician, well, where's the electricity coming from that you're pushing into this car? And they're like, well, from a coal plant. I'm like, all right. So is the coal plant a better option than the emissions from an automobile? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but the fact of the matter is you got to get the energy from somewhere. You can't just pull it out of your ass. Like so many people think you can do in this life.
Right.
And so these other ones, copper and palladium, I mean, I'll share this palladium chart because, and this is the monthly. I mean, are you selling this thing? We got another month. We're going to roll at the end of the week. We're going to have expanding potential. It looks like it's firmly taken out this double top. Where does it end? I don't know. Does copper go to $10? Does palladium go to 4,000? On this chart, or 5,000? I don't know. With everything else that's been priced in markets recently, like there is no way that you can quantify, in my book, where this upside is. If you get good places or good entries, you get in, you take profits on a portion, and I think you let things run a small portion of any winning position.
Yes. Speaking of insanity, give us a look on the lumber, would you?
Matt, would that be L's?
LBS.
Since you changed how could I not have it in here? Hold on, I'm going to get right to it, just like this. LBS. For you listeners at home, random length. Come on. Bingo. Just like that.
I want to see the long.
Look at that. I mean, are you kidding me? I got a builder friend back in Illinois, Matt, that had just built or is building a 2-car garage with an ADU above, a small build. And
So he's building a garage with 2 bedrooms and a bath.
yes, he just showed the customer the lumber costs, and it was $90,000. 90.
And that
90,000. And he said the most interesting thing is now when he's at the lumber yard, how much lumber product he is sourcing from Norway and Sweden. You want to talk about environmental activism?
Yes.
Well, now we're, most people will tell you, Bill Gates himself will tell you that one of the giant drivers of CO2 is transportation. I think about the weight of board feet being transferred from Norway and Sweden here. I mean, it's a big, complicated picture.
Well, and Bob, if you don't want to cut down the forests that we have sufficiently to satisfy the need in housing and building, then you're going to have forest fires naturally if you don't prune them. So the not cutting down creates more CO2, as we had last summer, because we had fires because nobody's cutting down trees in this country like they should be and can be.
Anyway,
and
it's a big complicated. It's a big complicated issue, but it shows up in price here, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense to ship lumber here from Sweden and Norway because they're getting 3-4 times, almost 5 times as much as they were in 2020.
It's unbelievable.
5x. Anyway, man, let's talk crypto,
please.
Please, because I got today in crypto, in the crypto sphere, Matt. Today in crypto, we got the why. We're gonna go with the why today. Hold on.
By the way, we do have Apple coming with their earnings after Microsoft, Google, Netflix have already provided. Oh, and by the way,
crypto, it's after dark, Matt. It's after dark somewhere. We try to bring truth in crypto analysis, right? And for both of us, the most basic truth is just the price discovery. That's the most important thing. And I believe me, I've lost more money thinking that the story was more important than the price discovery. And if anybody out there wants to argue that point, that the story is always more important, you've never traded in a highly leveraged environment where you can lose your house when you marry that position. And so, yeah, if it's not a leveraged thing and it's, a tenth of your net worth, not even a tenth, a thousandth of your net worth, feel free to stick to the story. But as soon as you start playing professionally, very important to stick to the actual things that are going on. Let me see if I can find it. The why, Matt. And here it is. This is from Maddie Greenspan. Speaking of old Fed chairs, I don't think this is the same guy or nephew or anything. But anyway, incredible. This is huge for Cardano. And that is ADA, if you're looking for price discovery, ADA, Cardano. And it is similar to Ethereum. It is a network where applications and dApps, they call them, can run on the network. And they have this
dApps?
Exactly. IOHK blockchain partners on the Cardano network have secured a contract with the government of Ethiopia to overhaul its education system. Another great use case for blockchain. Now, I didn't see this, and I'm sure this will be able to do. Let me go to let me go to the story so we can look at it, because 2 things jumped out at me. And here it is. So congratulations to these guys. They're going to be able to track individual grades, behavior. I don't know how they do that. Like, this obviously something that the teacher puts in, attendance, educational attainment, like scores and things across kindergarten, elementary school, secondary schools. And the teachers will be able to use the system to manage schedules and transfers, report behavior or dropouts. I guarantee you it also will be able to track the performance of the teachers themselves. Something that if you're looking at the news going on right now in this country and how there's big pushback against charter schools, like the unions don't want charter schools, by God, like if there's accountability in education, we can't have that. Anyway, I just, so this, for me, this is a why, because it's a system that obviously can use disruption. And the other thing I noticed too, Matt, how cool was the website that these guys input, output. Look at this. As you move the mouse, Matt, whoa. I want to do a bong rip and just come here at night and play with the interface. Even if they don't do the blockchain thing, you're telling me they can't sell this to stoners just as a way to interact with your stoned environment? Anyway, Matt, back to so let's talk price discovery. And so what did I say? It was on ADA.
Yeah, I can. You want to bring it up first? Go ahead.
I'll bring it up first. ADA, Cardano. Come on. I got 7 million. There we go. Into the A's. ADA US dollar. Spent 19, 20, 21 at basically 10 to 15 cents, Matt. Spiked to nearly $1.60 this month.
10x.
$1.60, and it's still looking relatively healthy to me. And again, these adoption is the only thing that matters. The daily, they're trying to climb back into UPMO on the daily. And there's a lot of these crypto coins that look similarly. If we talk about price discovery, it's trying to climb back into a much healthier space on that daily. Rejected it so far today. The day's hardly over. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of my evolution in trading, man. I look for stories like this where I'm like, wow, somebody actually has adopted the blockchain technology and is actually putting it to use. We've talked about this with HBAR and Comp, a couple others off the top of my head. And that's incredibly important. Like the story is great, but and maybe Ethiopia takes this over and they have a dramatic benefit in their education system from it. Hello, Chicago Teachers Union. Welcome to the blockchain.
Let me take a look at it, and I'll just give you a kind of a last, 4-month, 5-month view. We're basing, or not really basing, but you basically have a bracket here for me. Let's call it 160 to 95 cents. The next 70 cents, 65, 70 cents comes on a break of that. It's real simple. So you close out above 156 or you close down below, this, and that 60 cents here takes you down to right here, which is we got one ping pong, paddle up here on the high end, and we got one way back down here from the February explosion. So which way wins, we'll find out. But until it breaks out of that 4-month bracket, for me, there's nothing really. Again,
I think that's you play the powerful, and you believe me, I don't care if this is ADA or if this was Corn or if this was Microsoft. I mean, you look at that setup and the behavior, the trading behavior becomes the same. The analysis becomes the same. It becomes replicatable, which is incredibly important in a trading methodology. Absolutely. Like I see that, I can see that bracket. Yeah, it's been jerking around in a giant range, right? 50% range of the total value of it. But that doesn't change the fact that if you break below, it'll probably go down to that lower point of control. If it breaks above, it'll probably
set a new one.
Another 70 cents to the upside. Pretty simple analysis. Yeah,
pretty simple, and there's no need to overthink it either, especially when you're talking about a $1.30 item. I mean, it's put a bid in at $1 and reverse at 90, and put a offer in at $1.50 and reverse at 165 or something like that. I mean, there's your trade.
Bingo,
bango, and bongo.
All right, Matt. Everything else is fairly quiet. Yes, everybody waiting. Pins and needles.
Yeah, Bitcoin's down $300. It got up to what, 55 and a half. Really not progressing too much further. Right to 50, if you'll recall, I said 55, 56, I'd be a big seller. We got to 55.8. So I'm, again, I'm not involved, but I would be if those mini futures are around next week, I might give it a shot and sell a few.
Oh yeah, baby. We're going to be firing on micro mini Bitcoin at the CME.com. All right, Matt. I don't know. I'm kind of bored. I'm bored here.
And, well, these are the dangerous days, and I usually take off, and I haven't. Outside of us doing the show and looking at a few charts that I've posted in the Vitals marketvitals.io chat. There's not a lot going on here, Bob. So we got an hour until the esteemed Fed gives us their we're not doing anything, blah, 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 talk out of this ass, talk out of that ass, and move forward to the next 6 weeks when we have another meeting.
One last thing on Bitcoin, Matt, from me. This week's up momentum level, 58,320. I know you like that area also to sell. And for me, that becomes it's such a great sale setup because it should react off of it. Just like I know that's an area in your profile. The market should, if it's no good, it should reject it. 58. Well,
and again, it's coming, this is a 2-hour chart and it's coming right to the 50 moving on the 2. So this thing, everything is still pointing downward. This is how I look at momentum. Whereas the momentum and the price action, I don't need Bollinger Bands to do that. I can see it right within here. So, it's, to me, it just, it again, had a huge, we're just playing ping pong between these two paddles up in here. The lower end is 46,000. The higher end is 60. There's your ping pong. Again, to me, there's really nothing new going on here. We're just trying to get into this bracket that we fell out of. Right. And, we're just basically on the bottom end of the bracket. So that's the ceiling. We're bumping up against it. And what was the floor is now the ceiling. And that's the way, to your point from earlier, Bob, that is what drives markets, right? Floors become ceilings, ceilings become floors. And you got to figure out which side of the, house you're on when you want to make the trade. It's right not, on. And that's kind of how I see it right now. I'm surprised you're not talking about your favorite, your secondary favorite, which is the Ether Bitcoin pair, because let me just bring up Ether. I think it made another all-time high again yesterday, and maybe today. I haven't looked at it. There you go. Ether is making new highs over 2,700, Bob. So it continues just to, runaway train here. Run away.
And yeah, again, very, very healthy looking on that cross.
So let's take a look at it.
Very healthy, Matt. This is what I call healthy. We triage the market, relative health and sickness. All right. So fully up, and this is the nuance drink. The nuance here is we're making higher highs on a weekly level, right? And look at this breakdown here, lower lows every week, higher highs on this big rally here, higher highs. We're putting it in. And so
again, a combination of Ethereum going up and Bitcoin going down will affect that. And
exactly. And or Bitcoin staying stagnant, Ethereum rallying, and or when they break, Bitcoin just taking it on the chin more than Ethereum. And again, that's, the problem with that is you're still a loser because they're both, everybody's still spending fiat. But that could also drive this higher, right? Bitcoin goes to 35,000 and Ether, only breaks to, 2,500, breaks $200. This chart will go through the roof on that type of price action also. Very dangerous, Matt, spreading. Very, very dangerous. Everybody says spreads are, it's less dangerous to trade spreads. In fact, Warren jumped in here and said the best way to trade nat gas is with spreads. I got to tell you, in my experience, the problem with spreads for me is that I get way more stubborn in a spread because it's supposed to be less dangerous. And that, so I have that predisposition. Oh, it's a spread. How bad can you get hurt? Well, they can carry you out and you can sell your house.
Hey, Bob, we've been watching all this high-end real estate go on the market, whether it's Bette Midler's in New York or, Shacks in Orlando. there's a couple new ones today. And I'm just curious your take on what do you think about all these? There's tons in LA coming up for sale, tons in New York coming up for sale. All the buys seem to be happening in Florida and or Texas. I saw something today. Messi bought a nice.
Let's bring that up. Here it is. Lionel Messi scores entire floor of luxury Florida condo, 7.8 million. 33-year-old. You want to talk about the greatest of all time that's still playing. This guy's insanely good. And you know what I love about him is the game and the size of players seems to have passed him by, right? Yet he's still incredibly dangerous on the pitch, man. He is so good.
Gifted. Yeah.
Undersized dude. There's a bunch of 6'2" now soccer players, 6'3" running around. And this guy's just ridiculous. And I saw also today, speaking of maybe athletes jumping in anyway, it was Khalil Mack secured a Gold Coast condo in Chicago and has paid the highest price for a real estate purchase since last July. So it's weird now. We have a changing of the guard here. Like it seems to me that the Hollywood elites are getting out and the sports figures are jumping in.
Yeah. And, like Warren said, it may be, again, capital gains tax, it's possible. That's the reason why they're trying. But now you're a little late. Like if that's already been thrown out there by Biden, you probably missed the opportunity probably to close a big property like this, because most of these probably take a year or 2 or 3 to sell, I would imagine. So if you weren't trying to sell and here's a perfect example of selling overpriced assets, if there's no bids, it's worth nothing.
All right, man.
And that's to me what all these, like I saw Zac Efron is, filming Baywatch in Australia. So he was reducing his $6 million pad in LA. So what's interesting to me is like all the areas, New York, LA, have these huge fire sales kind of coming on these high-end properties where they're dropping their price $250,000, $500,000, and still no buyers, which is telling because everybody wants the F out of these blue states right now. They're rushing to Florida. They're rushing to Texas. Arizona is picking up some of it. I mean, where are all these high-end people going to come, Bob? Where are they going to go?
I don't know. Miami is on fire, though, man.
Yeah, I mean, it always has been. I guess, it's funny that people are like discovering Miami. I'm like, it was hot in the 80s. Don't you remember Miami Vice? Give me a break.
All right, Tubbs. Listen, you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Please visit us at marketvitals.io.
By the way, that is still my favorite horse track, Hialeah, down in Miami, with the pink flamingos out in the infield. It's one of the greatest experiences. Speaking of horses.
All right, pal. Have a great one.
All right.
Visit us, marketvitals.io, please. And retweet the broadcast if you would so kindly do that. We'd appreciate it also. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Bob.